Welcome to Brewtok, the dark roast of coffee culture. We're not just pouring lattes, we're spilling the truth. From conspiracy beans to caffeine dreams, we expose the addiction, the obsession, and the billion-dollar machine behind your morning cup. This isn't just coffee content, it's coffee unfiltered. Sip carefully, because once you taste the truth, you'll never look at your brew the same way again. Let's start with the basics. What is coffee really? Strip away the latte art. Forget the cafe playlists. Ignore the pumpkin spice foam and the reusable mugs. Coffee is a drug delivery system, that's it. That's the whole truth. The substance at the core of coffee is caffeine, a psychoactive stimulant, a drug. The most widely consumed psychoactive substance on planet Earth. Over 80% of adults on this planet use it daily. Every single day. It doesn't matter if you call it a cappuccino, a cold brew, or a double espresso shot. It's the same thing, a chemical hit designed to change your brain. And here's the twist. It works the same way as the drugs we demonize. Caffeine hijacks the adenosine system in your brain. Normally, adenosine builds up in your body during the day, telling you when to feel tired, when to slow down, when to rest. But when you drink coffee, caffeine blocks those receptors. You don't feel tired anymore, not because you're suddenly energized, but because your brain's warning signals are being silenced. That's not energy, that's anesthesia. Caffeine doesn't give you fuel. It tricks your brain into ignoring the truth that you are tired, overworked, and running on fumes. And when the effect wears off, all that adenosine crashes back in. That's the infamous coffee crash. It's not bad luck. It's the system working exactly as designed. Think about this. If caffeine were discovered today, brand new, never seen before, and some company tried to release it as a product, it would be banned. A substance that spikes heart rate, triggers anxiety, destroys sleep, causes dependency, and rewires your brain's chemistry? That's not a morning ritual. That's a controlled substance. But because coffee has been with us for centuries, we don't call it a drug. We wrap it in culture, lifestyle, and identity. We laugh at memes that show coffee as the only reason we can function. Imagine replacing the word coffee with nicotine or vodka in those jokes. It's not so funny anymore. And the withdrawal, that's not a craving. That's your brain experiencing drug withdrawal, headaches, irritability, mood swings, cold sweats, inability to concentrate. These are the same patterns you'd see in an addict. And here's the kicker. The World Health Organization officially recognizes caffeine withdrawal as a mental disorder, not an inconvenience, not just a craving. A diagnosable condition. You're medicating your withdrawal symptoms from yesterday, that's the trap. Coffee doesn't make you superhuman, it just returns you to the baseline. Without it, you feel worse, not because you're naturally broken, but because your brain has been rewired to need the drug. And so you drink it again, and again, and again. Congratulations, you're not choosing coffee, you're stuck in a loop. A cycle engineered not by nature, but by design. But isn't that the most dangerous thing of all? A drug that nobody questions. A dependency that is celebrated, meme-ified, marketed to children through frappuccinos and mocha lattes. An addiction so universal that quitting it makes you look like the weirdo. Coffee is the drug we don't call a drug, and that's why it works so well. Because the first step in controlling a society is making them believe they're not controlled at all. Coffee didn't just appear in your local cafe one day. It has a past, a long, bloody, and revolutionary past. They say it started in Ethiopia centuries ago. A goat herder named Kaldi noticed his animals were acting strange. Wild, hyper. They had been eating berries from a mysterious shrub. Instead of grazing peacefully, the goats leapt, jumped, and danced through the night. Curious, Kaldi tried the berries himself. Suddenly, he too felt a surge of energy, a wakefulness he had never known. That legend, whether myth or fact, marks the beginning of humanity's partnership with caffeine. But let's be clear, it didn't take long for this miracle bean to become a weapon. Coffee spread quickly through the Arab world. By the 15th century, it was being cultivated in Yemen. Sufi monks used it to stay awake through long nights of prayer. But outside the monasteries, coffee became something more: a social glue. People gathered in public coffee houses, caffeine, to drink, talk, share ideas. And that was dangerous. Why? Because when you give people a stimulant that keeps them alert and then put them together in a room, they don't just stay awake. They start asking questions. They start debating religion, politics, power. Coffee houses became the internet of their time, a new space for free thought, a network that bypassed the traditional gatekeepers of information. And just like today's internet, the rulers didn't like it. Ottoman sultans banned coffee. Clergy declared it sinful. In Mecca, authorities feared that caffeine-fueled discussions could spark rebellion. Coffee drinkers were flogged. Coffee houses were shut down, but it didn't work. People wanted their fix. They wanted their ritual, and most of all, they wanted their conversations. The bans failed, and coffee won. By the 1600s, coffee had spread to Europe. At first, it was met with suspicion. In Venice, the church debated whether Christians should be allowed to drink it, but then something happened that would change everything. Pope Clement VIII took a sip. He liked it, and he gave it his blessing. From that moment, coffee was no longer demonic. It was divine. Soon, coffee houses were sprouting up in London, Paris, and Vienna. They weren't just cafes, they were information hubs. Writers, merchants, politicians, philosophers, all crammed together over steaming cups of coffee, buzzing with energy and ideas. Some called them penny universities, because for the price of a cup, you could sit all day and learn more than any classroom could teach you. But behind the intellectual glow, something else was happening: a deeper transformation. Europe was falling in love with drugs. Before coffee, the drink of choice in Europe was alcohol. Beer, ale, and wine were consumed daily, even at breakfast. Why? Because water was often unsafe. The result: for centuries, much of Europe was literally drunk all day long. But when coffee arrived, everything changed. Instead of dulling the senses, coffee sharpened them. Instead of making workers sluggish, it made them alert. Instead of putting thinkers to sleep, it kept them up all night. Historians argue that the Age of Enlightenment, the explosion of science, philosophy, and art, was fueled not by genius alone, but by caffeine. Think about that. The modern world wasn't built on clear minds. It was built on drugged ones. Of course, with demand skyrocketing, supply became the new battlefield. At first, coffee was carefully guarded. Arab traders boiled the beans before export to stop them from sprouting elsewhere. But eventually, smuggled seeds made their way out. The Dutch began cultivating coffee in Java. The French planted it in the Caribbean. The British in India. The Portuguese in Brazil. Coffee wasn't just a drink anymore, it was a commodity. And like every commodity in history, it was built on exploitation. Plantations, colonialism, slavery. Millions of enslaved Africans were forced to cultivate coffee under brutal conditions. Entire landscapes were reshaped into monoculture farms, and Europe grew rich. By the 18th century, coffee was no longer exotic. It was daily life, but coffee houses weren't just for sipping, they were for scheming. In England, they became known as penny universities, but also as centers of dissent. Political pamphlets spread, plots were whispered, movements were born. In France, coffee houses buzzed with talk of liberty, equality, and fraternity. Revolutionary ideas brewed alongside steaming cups, and soon those ideas spilled into the streets. In America, coffee became patriotic. After the Boston Tea Party, drinking tea was seen as un-American. Coffee became the drink of the revolution. From Europe to the New World, coffee was no longer just a stimulant. It was a spark, a catalyst for change. But revolutions don't last forever. And once governments realized coffee wasn't going away, they shifted strategy. They stopped fighting it, and they started monetizing it. Coffee was no longer banned. It was taxed, regulated, commercialized. What began as a mystical berry in the hills of Ethiopia was now a pillar of global trade, an engine of capitalism, and a chain around the neck of the working class. Because coffee didn't just fuel conversations anymore. It fueled factories. It fueled the rise of the 9-5. It fueled the entire industrial revolution. And that brings us closer to the heart of the complex. Every sip of coffee you take carries this history. The goat herder's discovery, the monk's prayers, the Ottoman bans, the Enlightenment debates, the colonial plantations, the revolutionary meetings. Coffee has always been more than a drink. It has been a weapon, a tool of power, a force that shapes societies. It made thinkers think harder, it made workers work longer, it made rebels plan bolder, and it made rulers wealthier. From the first bean to the last espresso shot you ordered, coffee has been part of a grand story. How humanity found a drug, fell in love with it, fought over it, and ultimately built a world around it. But remember, empires don't just rise, they consolidate, they expand, they industrialize. Coffee isn't just a drink. It's the fuel that powers capitalism. And without it, the modern world would look very, very different. The Industrial Revolution didn't run on steam alone. It ran on caffeine. Factories needed workers to show up early, stay alert, and endure long, monotonous shifts. And humans, well, humans weren't built for that. We're designed for cycles of energy and rest, bursts of focus followed by recovery. But capitalism doesn't care about biology. Capitalism demands productivity, uninterrupted, relentless. So how do you make tired bodies work like machines? You drug them. Coffee became the invisible oil of the factory system. Cheap, accessible, and perfectly legal. By the late 19th century, employers in Europe and America were actually providing coffee to workers, not out of kindness, not out of generosity, but because caffeinated employees produced more. What we celebrate today as a perk was really a performance hack. A corporate strategy to squeeze more output from exhausted workers. Think about your daily routine. Alarm rings. You're groggy, half asleep, barely functional. What's the first thing you reach for? Coffee. Now think about the workday itself. The morning cup to start. The mid-morning refill to keep going. The afternoon slump shot to survive until evening. Coffee doesn't just fit into the 9-5. It creates the 9-5. Without it, the system collapses. Because without coffee, workers would demand shorter hours, more breaks, fairer schedules, sleep. Coffee isn't just a stimulant, it's a suppressant. It suppresses rebellion, it suppresses fatigue, it suppresses the natural human urge to rest. Coffee is the drug that made industrial capitalism possible. Here's the lie. Coffee doesn't give you more time. It doesn't create extra energy out of thin air. It simply robs tomorrow to pay for today. When you drink coffee late in the day, it blocks deep sleep. Your body fails to fully recover. So when you wake up, you're more tired than before. And what do? You drink coffee again. That's not a solution, that's a cycle. A hamster wheel. Capitalism doesn't care that you're wrecking your body. It only cares that you show up to work on time, eyes open, hands moving. So the system trains you to ignore exhaustion. It normalizes burnout. And it sells you a cup of coffee as the cure. By the 20th century, corporations realized coffee wasn't just useful, it was profitable. So they branded it, packaged it, marketed it. Maxwell House, Folgers, Nescafé, cheap, instant, mass-produced coffee for the working class. Slick advertising campaigns built entire family identities around a cup of coffee at the breakfast table. And it worked. Coffee became culture. Coffee became tradition. Coffee became an identity, no longer just fuel for factories, it was a household staple. Every kitchen needed a can of grounds, every table needed a pot. And behind the cheerful jingles and smiling commercials was the same truth: coffee kept workers working. But the corporate takeover didn't stop at instant coffee. It evolved. In 1971, a small store in Seattle began selling roasted beans. By the 1990s, it had become an empire. Today, it is a global religion. Starbucks didn't just sell coffee, it sold experience. It turned caffeine into ritual. It built temples on every corner where the faithful could line up for their daily dose. Grand, venti, pumpkin spice, caramel macchiato, the menu wasn't just about taste. It was about lifestyle. It was about identity, it was about belonging, and most importantly, it was about price. Coffee went from a cheap necessity to a luxury accessory, from a 10-cent cup to a $6 status symbol, from a drug to a fashion statement. Starbucks proved what corporations already knew: addiction is good business. And if you dress it up with music, cozy chairs, and Wi-Fi, you can charge whatever you want. But it's deeper than money. Coffee became propaganda. These aren't ads, they're mantras. They rewire the brain to see coffee as essential, not optional, not a treat, but survival. Because if you believe you need coffee, then you also accept the system that requires it. You accept the long hours. You accept the lack of sleep. You accept the stress. You think the problem is you, not the structure of work itself. That's the genius of the coffee industrial complex. It hides capitalism's flaws by selling you a fix for symptoms that capitalism created in the first place. The numbers don't lie. The global coffee industry is worth over $500 billion, and it's not slowing down. Why would it? Coffee has something no other product can match: a built-in customer base that needs it every day. That's not consumer demand, that's chemical dependence. And dependence equals profit. Think about it. Most products compete for attention, but coffee is guaranteed consumption. Nobody debates whether they want their morning cup. They just need it, it's automatic. That's not a market, that's captivity. But behind every cup there's a cost. The cost of your health as sleep debt piles up, anxiety spikes, and burnout grows. The cost of society as billions of people self-medicate to survive in systems that overwork them. And the cost of the planet as rainforests are cleared, workers exploited, and farmers underpaid. Coffee is not just a drink. It's a chain, a leash, a tool. And the corporations holding that leash know exactly what they're doing. Because when a product is both addictive and socially celebrated, you don't have customers, you have believers. Here's the conspiracy no one talks about: coffee doesn't make you more productive. It makes you feel more productive. Your output isn't higher, your attention isn't sharper, you're just wired, jittery, buzzing with false confidence. And capitalism thrives on that illusion. It doesn't care if you're actually working smarter. It only cares that you look awake, act busy, and keep the machine moving. Coffee is the drug that masks dysfunction, the band-aid on a broken system, the illusion of energy in a world built to exhaust you. Every time you sip your morning brew, remember, you're not just drinking coffee. You're participating in an economic system designed to keep you tired enough to depend on caffeine, but functional enough to keep producing. Factories needed it, offices demanded it, corporations monetized it, and now we celebrate it. Coffee is the silent engine of capitalism, and without it, the entire system might grind to a halt. But here's the question you should be asking: if capitalism can only function by drugging its workers, is the problem really your lack of coffee? Or is the problem the system itself? Coffee isn't just a drink. It isn't just culture. It's a business designed around one thing: your dependency. Here's the truth about addiction: it's the perfect business model. When people are addicted, you don't have to convince them to buy. You don't have to beg for their attention. You don't have to fight for loyalty. They'll show up every day. They'll pay whatever price you set. They'll defend their addiction if anyone dares to criticize it. That's not a customer, that's a captive market. And coffee corporations know this. They don't just sell caffeine, they sell dependence. Take Starbucks, the world's most famous coffee brand. It doesn't just sell lattes, it sells identity. Walk into a Starbucks and you're stepping into a ritualized experience. The music, the lighting, the smell of roasted beans pumped into the air vents. The cashier asks for your name so it can be scrawled on the side of your cup. It's not about the drink, it's about you. You're not just ordering coffee, you're joining a tribe. You're wearing a badge that says, "This is who I am," and every latte is a reminder, not just of your addiction, but of your belonging. Look at the menu. Dozens of drinks, endless customization, almond milk, oat milk, soy milk, extra foam. 2 shots, 3 shots. Vanilla hazelnut caramel. It feels like freedom, like self-expression, but at the core, it's all the same thing. Caffeine in a cup. The choice is just packaging. A way to distract you from the truth that you're buying the same chemical hit every single day. Addicts love the illusion of control, and corporations know it. This is the brilliance of the coffee industrial complex. It doesn't fight your biology. It works with it. You get tired, you crave caffeine, you buy coffee, you feel a boost, you crash, you repeat. The cycle was already there. Coffee companies just built a business on top of it. Like tobacco companies, like alcohol, like casinos. But with one difference, coffee got away with it. Because coffee isn't stigmatized, it isn't taboo. It isn't dangerous, at least not in the way people think. It's celebrated, normalized, marketed as harmless. And that's why it works so well. Let's be brutally honest. If someone drinks whiskey every morning before work, we call them an alcoholic. If someone needs cigarettes every hour on the hour, we call them a smoker. If someone can't go a day without caffeine, we call them normal. That's the trick. Addiction disguised as culture, dependence disguised as personality. The coffee industry didn't just sell a product, it rewrote the language around addiction itself. We like to think coffee is harmless. A friendly drink, a cozy ritual. But beneath the latte art and seasonal flavors, there's a darker truth. Coffee isn't just keeping you awake, it's changing your body, your brain, your entire biology. And the worst part? The science is right there, hidden in plain sight. But the coffee industrial complex doesn't want you to notice. Now let's talk about sleep. Caffeine has a half-life of about 6 hours. That means if you drink a coffee at 3 p.m., half of it is still in your system at 9 p.m. And even if you manage to fall asleep, your brain won't enter deep, restorative sleep as easily. It's like trying to recharge your phone while the battery is still draining. You wake up feeling less rested. So what do? You reach for coffee again. This is the trap. Coffee makes you sleep worse. Worse sleep makes you drink more coffee. More coffee ruins your sleep even further. And the cycle continues. Sleep researchers call it the caffeine cycle of dependency. Ever wonder why your heart races after that third espresso? Why do your hands shake? Why do you feel wired but also strangely anxious? That's because caffeine spikes cortisol, your stress hormone. It tricks your body into a fight or flight state. Your heart rate goes up. Your blood pressure rises. Your nervous system screams that you're in danger. But there's no tiger, no fire, no emergency, just a latte. So you sit at your desk, jittery, anxious, overwhelmed, and you blame yourself. You think you're stressed because of work or school or life. But maybe, just maybe, it's the coffee. Here's a fact the coffee industry doesn't like to advertise. Studies show that long-term caffeine consumption can literally reduce the volume of gray matter in your brain. That's right. Your morning cappuccino may actually shrink your brain. Now, the effect isn't always permanent. If you quit caffeine, the brain can recover. But think about that for a second. The most celebrated drink on the planet, the one we joke about, meme about, put on t-shirts, has been proven to physically change the human brain. And we shrug it off like it's nothing. Here's the part that should scare you. If you compare caffeine to other addictive drugs, the patterns are eerily similar. Withdrawal symptoms? Check. Tolerance buildup? Check. Daily use to avoid discomfort? Check. By clinical definition, caffeine use disorder is a recognized addiction, but we don't call it that. Imagine if the world treated nicotine the same way. It would sound insane, but swap cigarette for coffee, and it's a cute mug on Etsy. That's not a coincidence. That's cultural conditioning. So what's the big picture? What's the hidden cost? It's not just the $5 latte. It's not just the 8 hours of lost sleep. It's a world where billions of people wake up every day already in debt, not just financial debt, but biological debt. Where exhaustion is the default state. Where addiction is normalized as culture. Where health is quietly sacrificed to keep the machine running. And the machine runs on coffee. Walk into any home goods store and you'll see it. Coffee quotes plastered on mugs, pillows, wall art. It's everywhere. It surrounds you. It seeps into your subconscious. You're not just drinking coffee in the morning. You're living in a world where every object around you reminds you that coffee is life. And online, it's even worse. Memes on Instagram, GIFs on Twitter, TikToks of people collapsing until they sip their latte. Coffee isn't just normalized, it's glorified. Dependency has been rebranded as a punchline. Look at cafes. They're not just shops, they're temples, soft music, warm lighting, carefully designed spaces that feel spiritual, almost holy. You don't just drink coffee there, you worship it. You pay your tithe at the counter. You receive your ritual in a paper chalice with your name written on it. And like any church, the cafe creates community. People gather, they sit together, they bond over shared belief, the belief that coffee is essential. It's not a cafe. It's a congregation. Coffee has ruled the past. It dominates the present. But what about the future? The coffee industrial complex isn't slowing down. It's evolving, shape-shifting. Finding new ways to keep you hooked, new ways to profit from your dependency. Tomorrow's caffeine won't just come in a cup. It will come in cans, pills, apps, and algorithms. It will come disguised as health, as optimization, as progress. And it will be harder than ever to escape. But the real future? Subscriptions. Companies don't just want you to buy coffee, they want you locked in. Monthly bean deliveries, cold brew subscriptions. Apps that automatically reorder your favorite drinks. Starbucks loyalty programs that turn your caffeine habit into a recurring billing stream. This isn't just coffee. No more deciding, no more choice. Just endless auto charges tied directly to your addiction, like Netflix but for your bloodstream. And it goes deeper. Apps are already tracking your purchases, your timing, your preferences. How long before AI predicts your crashes and markets you the perfect fix? A push notification at 2:14 p.m. Feeling tired? How long before wearables sync with coffee apps? Your smartwatch detects fatigue, and an algorithm pushes a special offer for a double espresso. That's not advertising, that's surveillance. Caffeine is sold not just when you want it, but when your body needs it most. That's total control. So here's the vision, a world where caffeine isn't just a choice. It's embedded in everything. Your drink, your snack, your medicine, your apps, your algorithms. A world where you never stop consuming, because the system doesn't just want you caffeinated, it wants you tethered. And the more tired, stressed, and burned out society becomes, the more profitable caffeine gets. That's the future of the fix. Coffee was once a bean in Ethiopia. Now it's a $1 trillion empire. But tomorrow it will be more. More invasive, more manipulative, more impossible to escape. Because the coffee industrial complex isn't satisfied with owning your mornings. It wants your afternoons, your nights, your whole life. And if you're not careful, the future won't just run on caffeine. It will belong to caffeine. So next time you cradle that cup in your hands, remember what it represents. Centuries of colonialism, factories fueled by fatigue, children in the fields, corporations on Wall Street, memes on your feed, withdrawal in your veins, all for a drug that doesn't give you energy. It only steals tomorrow's. This is the coffee industrial complex, the empire of the bean. The addiction we celebrate, the chain we decorate, and now you've seen it. You can't unsee it. Sip carefully, because every drop is more than coffee, it's control. And the question is, will you drink it or will you break free? That was today's shot of truth from Brewtok. Coffee isn't just a drink, it's a system, a trap, a ritual we never question. Follow for the next sip of the conspiracy they don't want you to taste. Until then, sip carefully.